let's do the LFA predictions. So LFA 103, Spike Harlow and Batsu and Barrel Dagbadors in the main event. Vanessa Demopoulos and Cynthia Arceo in the co-main event. Abdul Karim Al Suwaidi, I think that's his name, versus Jake Sebastian in the third to last fight of the night in the lightweight fight. We have Fernie Garcia and Isaiah Batin Gonzalez in a bantamweight fight. Josh Kinlan and Dallas Jennings in a welterweight fight. To be honest, I'm not going to look at this fight. Kendrick Lashman, Luciano Ramos, all these fights that are on the prelims. Because, this dude has pretty much a losing record if he loses this fight. To Kendrick Lashman, 8 wins, 6 losses, and 5 wins, 5 losses. Don't really want to do predictions for guys that don't really have good skills, that aren't really good in any facet of the game. So we're only going to do these fights that are on the top 5 fights of the main card. Josh Kinlan and Dallas Jennings. The first fight on the main card. Josh Kinlan, 4 wins and 0 losses. I'm going to say it right now, Josh Kinlan is an absolute beast. I predict he's probably going to win 1, 2, maybe even 3 more fights inside the LFA. Maybe go on a Dana White Contender Series. Possibly get a fight inside the UFC. Maybe on the Ultimate Fighter, something like that. But this guy, in my opinion, has a very bright future ahead of him. He's only 28 years old. First round knockout win, first round submission win, second round knockout win, and then third round knockout win. As an amateur, second round knockout, first round knockout, first round knockout, first round knockout, in one fight. Out of every single one of those fights, literally 10 professional and amateur fights combined, and only one of those going all the way, and he won that one by decision. No losses as an amateur or as a pro. He has a lot of power, can knock you out on the feet, and could take you down and get a TKO, can grab your back and get a submission. He showed a lot of different facets of his game in most of his fights that he's had inside the LFA. There's no way I'm picking Dallas Jennings to win the fight. He's 30 years old, 3 wins and only 1 loss. He hasn't been fighting for very long. One win by first knockout, decision win. Lost one fight to John Simon, who has 2 wins, 0 losses. Okay, if you look at how he wins his fights, 2 knockout wins, 1 decision win as an amateur, 4 knockout wins, 5 submission wins, and 1 decision win. Come on, there's no way I'm going Dallas Jennings, especially when you got a guy like Josh Kinlan, who has yet to lose an amateur fight, who has yet to lose a pro MMA fight. The man's an absolute beast. There's no way I'm going against Josh Kinlan to win the fight. I'm pretty sure, 95% going for Josh Kinlan to win the fight. Out of 283 different votes, I believe the betting odds have him as like a 3-1 favorite, something like that. Let's see right here, minus 240, minus 250, somewhere around that range. So, there's no way I'm not going to say Josh Kinlan's going to win the fight, but who knows? He could get the rear naked. He could get a TKO. He could get a first round knockout. He likes to spread out how he wins his fights in most of his professional and amateur fights. So, honestly, this fight can go all the way, or it can go any way in the fight. He could get a knockout, could get a submission. I just know he's definitely going to win the fight by finish in the first or second round. So that is my prediction for the first fight of LFA 103 that I really want to do a prediction on because, come on, Kendrick Lashman, all these fights over here. Pretty horrible fight. So, then we have Fernie Garcia and Isaiah Batin Gonzalez. This fight is a bantamweight fight. Fernie Gonzalez, 8 wins and 1 loss. Has some pretty good grappling under his belt. If you look right here, he has 3 submission wins and 5 decision wins. As an amateur fighter, 3 submission wins and 3 decision wins. His only loss as a professional fighter, coming by unanimous decision. It was by split decision in his first fight inside the UFC against Cody Freeman. He has a lot of other wins inside the LFA. Marquis Smith, Jay Viola, and then Ryan Hayes. So a lot of wins already inside the LFA. Beat Joe Roy in Liddell versus Ortiz 3. I guess he was on that fight card. But he finishes a lot of his fights by submission. Once he joined the more legit organizations like the LFA, he started to not really get as many submissions because you're facing better competition. It's very understandable. But he always likes to get the fight to the ground as soon as possible and go for those submissions, mainly by rear naked choke. That's what he likes to go for if he's trying to get a submission in his fights. But I think this one's going to go all the way. I don't really need to look at Isaiah Batin Gonzalez. He doesn't even have a fight inside the UFC. His only loss coming to Jesse Schrader, who was inside the UFC in his last fight, I believe against Montel Jackson, but just got knocked out cold. Before that, submission win, decision win, first knockout win, and decision win. 1 knockout win, 1 submission win, and 2 decision wins. Honestly, wherever the fight goes, I think Fernie Garcia is just the better fighter. Maybe Isaiah Batin Gonzalez has a slight striking advantage over Fernie Garcia. Maybe has a power advantage over Fernie Garcia, but we haven't really got to see much of the striking game from Fernie Garcia because he really likes to take the fight to the ground as soon as possible and try to win the fight there. So I think either way, he's going to get the fight down at one point or another in the fight and most likely control the fight for the majority of the fight. fight, maybe get a submission, but I'm probably going to say that the fight's going to go all the way. I mean, most likely, he's going to get his 4th straight decision win inside the LFA here against Isaiah Bastin Gonzalez in the fight. So far, I got Josh Kinlan winning by first second-round finish, then Fernie Garcia winning the fight by unanimous decision, and then we have Abdul Karim Al-Suwaidi versus Jake Sebastian. This fight is a lightweight fight. Abdul Karim Al-Suwaidi, 10 wins and 3 losses. A lot of fights in Desert Force and Brave CF. Fought guys like Charlie Leary inside of Brave CF, joined the LFA. Never, I mean, this is his first fight inside the LFA, but his last 2 fights against Luan Santiago and Dumar Roa, if you look right here, they were actually in main card fights for the BCF Lightweight Championship, so he was fighting for belts. He was the champion in the fight, so he was a champion inside of Brave CF, so a pretty legit fighter coming out outside of Brave CF and outside of Desert Force. And his opponent, Jake Sebastian, has some pretty good striking and has pretty okay submission skills, 4 submission wins, 1 knockout win, and 1 decision win out of his losses, both coming by knockout. And then you got a guy like Abdul Karim Al-Suwaidi, who has a lot of knockouts on his record, 6 knockout wins, 2 submission wins, and 2 decision wins. And as I said before, Jake Sebastian, most of his losses are coming by knockout, 2 losses by knockout, so he doesn't have the best chin, in my opinion. And Abdul Karim Al-Suwaidi, this man's striking is really, really good. He lost his last 2 fights inside of Desert Force, both by knockout in the first or second round, I believe. Yeah, both by knockout in the first round. Even though he lost his only 2 fights inside of Brave CF by first round knockout, the man can really strike. I mean, his striking is just so good. He's only 25, almost 26 years old. I think he has a bright future inside the LFA. Maybe a future LFA lightweight champion. I think he has a very bright future inside the LFA. So I think he's gonna keep the fight on the feet. Probably, maybe get a KO or TKO. A lot of people are saying he's gonna get a KO or TKO in the fight. He's a 3-1 favorite over Jake Sebastian in the fight. I think the fight's going to go all the way. I think it's very likely we see a finish from Abdul Karim Al-Suwaidi in the fight, but I'm having this fight go all the way, and I have Abdul Karim Al-Suwaidi winning that fight by 30-27 unanimous decision, mainly in a dominant striking performance in that fight against Jake Sebastian. And then we have the co-main event, Vanessa Demopoulos, 5 wins and 3 losses, coming off of 2 straight losses on Dana White's Contender Series, and then Lupita Godinez inside of the LFA in a main event at LFA 94. She lost a fight by unanimous decision for the LFA Strawweight Championship. Not really sure how she lost the fight. I actually had her winning that fight, but not really sure what happened there. She fought Corey McKenna on Dana White's Contender Series, beat Sam Hughes, Laveth Young, Nadine Mandel, and Valerie Ann Marie Soto, all inside of the LFA by 4th round submission, decision win, 1st round armbar submission win, and a decision win right here. Fought Itzel Esquivel. I mean, she fought a lot of people inside the LFA. Every single one of her wins inside the LFA coming by decision or submission. Obviously has a lot of submission skills. Likes to get the fight to the ground as soon as possible in most of her fights. And then we have Cynthia Arcio, who I believe hasn't fought in like a year and a half or something like that. She's 31 years old, 5'4" inches tall, and has a reach of 67.5 inches. She's a completely different type of fighter than Vanessa Demopoulos. Second round knockout win, 3rd round knockout win, decision win right here. Got a draw against Laveth Young, lost against Laveth Young. Then got a decision win against Teresa Baez. Then got 1 fight inside of Invicta FC against Mallory Martin, lost the fight by decision. And then that was back in 2019. She has not fought in around, I would say around 2 years. But if you look at how she wins her fights, 3 knockout wins, 2 decision wins, 0 submission wins as an amateur. Again, 0 submission wins, all those wins coming by knockout. So this co-main event right here is a classic grappler versus striker fight. Obviously, Vanessa Demopoulos is the grappler in the fight. Cynthia Arcio is obviously the striker in the fight, with a lot of knockouts on her record as an amateur and as a pro. Vanessa Demopoulos, a lot of submissions on her record as an amateur and as a pro. So it really matters on who can get the fight, where they want to get the fight in the fight. So Cynthia Arcio obviously is going to have to stuff those takedowns, keep the fight on the feet, and win the fight in the striking game, which I think she will do a good job of. If she can keep the fight on the feet, that is the thing. Can she keep the fight on the feet against Vanessa Demopoulos? I don't think so. I think Vanessa Demopoulos is going to land a takedown probably in the first 2 minutes of the very first round. Try to drain Cynthia Arcio of her energy once the fight gets back on the feet in the 2nd and 3rd round. Cynthia Arcio is going to be really, really tired not to land a lot of those big big shots that she's usually trying to go for and try to get the knockout. She's not going to be able to land those big shots. And then it's going to be much easier for Vanessa Demopoulos to get a takedown in the later rounds, get the fight down, and go for her submissions. I actually think this one is going to go all the way to the end of the third round. I think Vanessa Demopoulos is going to do a good job of really tiring Cynthia Arcio out in the fight and going for the submission in the third round. I know that's a bold prediction to make. Why not the first or second round? It's because in the first or second round, Cynthia Arcio is going to be a very fresh fighter to defend against those submissions, to defend against those takedowns. But once it hits that third round, she's going to be a little tired. Vanessa Demopoulos is going to grab her back, and most likely, in my opinion, is going to get a rear naked choke submission. So that is my prediction for the co-main event with Vanessa Demopoulos and Cynthia Arcio. I have Vanessa Demopoulos winning in the co-main event by rear naked choke submission in the third round. Should be a good co-main event right there between a striker and a grappler. So far, if you guys forgot some of those predictions, I have Josh Kinlan winning his fight, Fernie Garcia winning his fight. I have Abdul Karim Al Sweaty winning his fight, and then I have Vanessa Demopoulos winning her fight in the co-main event. And then the main event, I'm gonna say right now, KO, TKO, first or second round. I mean, when you got a guy like Spike Carlo and Batsumero Dagvadors, look at this. 80% going Carlo, mainly by KO, TKO. 20% I'm going Dagvadors, mainly by KO, TKO. And then a lot of people having him winning the fight by unanimous decision. I think the chances this fight goes all the way, probably 25%. I think both fighters have a lot of power in their hands. Batsumero Dagvadors is the older fighter somehow. He's 33, almost 34 years old, so a little age advantage there for Spike Carlo. But the height and reach for Spike Carlo and Batsumero Dagvadors are really identical. 5'8" inches tall and 71-inch reach. But that age advantage is gonna play a factor for Spike Carlo, who had 2 fights inside of the UFC against Billy Quarantillo and Bill Algeo. He lost in both fights, but in the Billy Quarantillo fight, it was a really interesting fight. He actually got a 29-28 close decision loss in the fight. It was a really close fight in my opinion. He definitely won the first round. The second round, it was really close. 13 significant strikes to 11 significant strikes. A really close fight right there. He ended up beating Aalon Cruz in his first fight inside the UFC by first round knockout. He has a lot of power in his hands. 9 wins and 3 losses. Let's see right here, 5 knockout wins, 3 submission wins, and only 1 fight that he's won going all the way, and he won that one by unanimous decision. Out of his 3 losses, all of them coming by decision. He's literally never ever been knocked out, which I find a little bit weird because he usually likes to tire out in the later rounds and kind of leave himself exposed for those big shots from his opponents, but somehow he's yet to be knocked out in his professional career. As an amateur, he did not get knocked out as an amateur as well. For his wins as an amateur, 6 wins by submission and 3 wins by decision. Really interesting right there. Considering he's kind of adapted his game as a professional fighter inside of the UFC and now inside of the LFA to be more of a striker, but as an amateur, he was really going for a lot of submissions there, which is really interesting. And the betting odds for the fight are actually really close. Minus 115, minus 115, minus 120, and minus 110. I mean, pretty 50-50 odds right there. The whole betting odds, minus 112, and then minus 114. So a really 50-50 fight in the main event right here. Overall, I probably get a slight edge to Spike Carlo in the fight. He's the younger fighter. He has a lot of experience inside of the LFA, inside of the UFC, and has performed pretty good, pretty okay, I would probably say. I mean, he had a pretty close fight with Billy Quarantillo, pretty dominant loss against Bill Algeo, but now he's fighting Batsumero Dagvadors, who also has a lot of knockouts on his record, 7 wins and 1 loss, 4 knockout wins, 2 submission wins, and 1 decision win. I'm going to say it right now, one of these 2 guys is winning the fight by first or second round knockout. Or maybe we see first, second round submission. I don't really know. All I know is that we're going to see a finish in the first or second round. Man, this is tough, actually. The betting odds are 50-50, so these tabloid predictions are much different. 80% going Carlo. I'm probably going to go Carlo. I'm not just saying that just because of the tabloid predictions. I'm saying that because he has a lot of knockouts on his record, and he has that striking, and he also has these submission skills if he needs to in the fight. He has a lot of submissions as an amateur fighter. Has not really shown those submission skills as a professional fighter. I don't know if he's just choosing not to show those skills, or if he doesn't have those skills anymore, but in my opinion, I think he's just not choosing to show his submission skills. He's kind of adapted to become more of a striking fighter in most of his fights. I think in this fight, the striking is going to be pretty even, but I think Spike Carlo might have a little bit of a submission advantage in the fight, so this should be a really good main event. But I have Spike Carlo winning the fight on a first or second round TKO, getting a takedown in one of the first or second round, getting the fight down, landing a lot of good shots, maybe just going for a submission, but I don't think we're going to see a submission. I think he's going to go for a lot of shots on the ground, and most likely get a TKO in the first or second round. So those are my full card predictions for LFA 103. A pretty good fight card right here. If you guys forgot my predictions, I have Spike Carlo winning his fight. I have Vanessa Demopoulos winning her fight. I have Abdul Karim Al-Swaidi winning his fight. I have Fernan Garcia winning his fight, and I have Josh Scanlon winning his fight. But watch this main event right here. This one is going to be fireworks, and a really good co-main event right here. Cynthia Arcio and Vanessa Demopoulos. A lot of really good fights, but that is it for the video. I'm out of here. Let's go.